Woo! I hope that worked. Welcome to, what is the name of our, oh yes, Denying Ben's Belief. I'm Nathaniel, one half of Divine Disbelief, although you probably wouldn't believe that these days because Susan hasn't been around that much, but she's still here. And she's going to say hello at some point, probably in a chat somewhere. I don't know. Anyways, this is the series Denying Ben's Belief, which is reviewing Ben Shapiro's newest book. And it's so exciting. The Authoritarian Moment, subtitle, How the Left Weaponized America's Institutions Against Dissent. Today, the episode 3, introduction part 3. Trust me, I'm going to work out a way to try to make it so it seems that it's not so much like a Star Wars title or something. Make it a little bit shorter at some point in the future. I don't know. I'm not the one that wrote the title to the book. But it's still the introduction for 3 straight episodes. And last week's episode was over an hour long. Now, sure, I can take partial blame for that because of my amazing monologues and my ability to create something seemingly out of nothing, and you're welcome for that, and you should be grateful that you got it. But it's always, and also because Ben is so dishonest in so much of his writing, I have to continuously fact check him and show not only why he's being dishonest, but also to provide the context and then to say this is what's actually true. This is why I don't like doing response videos, because you got to do like all this other research and stuff. But like when we go in and we do deep dives and stuff, all we have to do is just create the stuff and say, hey, this is what it is. When you're doing response videos, oh man, you don't want to do that. This is just it's a laborious task, and you should support us in that task with money on our all-new website where you can give us money. Provided by Streamlabs, it's divinedisbelief.live/tip. Right there, right next to my head. Look, I'm gonna move over so you can see. There it is, right there. Now it's not like on top of my head. Divinedisbelief.live/tip. You could give us money. You can say, hey, let me do it one time. Where this show, we get 100% of it. Or you can do it monthly. Do that one. We've also got this is only the part of the website where you can actually say, hey, I'm going to give you money. We have another whole part of the website that is going to be up later on this evening. We also have merch. Look at that merch. Sexy merch. So you go and you pick up some of that sweet, sweet merch and promptly recycle it or give it to your worst enemy while knowing that you've helped a great cause, because 100% of the proceeds from this merch are going to the National Network of Abortion Funds. Your donation brings us closer to a future where all people have access to abortion without shame or stigma. So I appreciate that. On our website, we also have a link that you'll see again, be live this evening, that you can click and go and donate directly to the National Network of Abortion Funds. Give them money before you give us money, but then also give us money too. So yeah, that's happening there. Let me do this. And I need this episode. I promise it's going to be the last episode for this introduction. And for that, though, in order to get through this, I'm going to need to get something to drink. I recommend you do as well. So you enjoy this intro while I drink myself into a stupor. All right. There we go. Let's just get rid of that glass breaking sound effect here. All right. Where were we? Where am I? Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can do that again. Yes, cool. That's going to stay up there for a second. When we left off last week, Ben was trying to remind his followers that we folks on the left, as he calls us, them, we apparently hate what Ben calls the rest of us. The rest of us, whatever that means. Also, I'm getting Susan's notifications when she's texting me saying that the internet at her school is garbage and she hates it and that she can't watch the stream and all of that stuff. And super sorry, babes. You can always watch the stream later. And make sure, by the way, you watch the entire thing so we get the algorithm going up. Thanks, love you. Anyways, we, quote, hate Ben and his followers because they go to church or want to discriminate at their businesses. Okay, I guess that we do kind of hate that only because, etc. Yada, the previous video, go watch that. Because it just gets better from here. Because the next paragraph, the very next paragraph, continues his long list of maybe the reason that they hate you. It says, maybe the problem is that you won't post a black square on your Facebook page. First off, it's your profile page, Ben, to symbolize your support for the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, there are people that I know that don't support the Black Lives Matter movement, which is weird, but whatever. Maybe the problem is you won't kneel for the national anthem or cheer for those who kneel. Maybe it's that you haven't put your preferred pronouns in your Twitter profile or hashtagged with the latest pride symbol for the latest cause, or use the proper emoji in your text messages. Now, I have a confession. I do, and I hope that you'll forgive me for this. I didn't put a black square on my Twitter profile last year. I hope. Am I canceled? Have I been canceled by them, those over there? The thems? Oh no. They. And when I say they, them, it's like pronouns, but I'm actually using it in sense. But they are coming for me. Now that they found out that I didn't have the black square on my Twitter profile last year. I also never kneeled during the national anthem, partially because I never played sports and stuff like that. Now, mind you, I don't stand for the anthem and haven't for a very long time, but I never kneeled. And I also don't usually have the latest pride symbol, whatever that means. I don't know. In my Twitter mentions or hashtags or whatever, I don't actually know. Is Ben against Pride Month here or something? Is he against the month of okay, never mind. Yeah, I get it. I've also never met anybody on the so-called left who attacks a person for not having pronouns in their profile. Now, mind you, I do go to a person's profile to see if they have pronouns listed so I can avoid accidental misgendering, because while I want to completely troll this person into oblivion and ensure that people can see the inanity and the things that they're saying, I don't want to disrespect them by misgendering them. So that's important. But I've never actually seen anything of what Ben just said. Do you know who does notice that I have the he, him, his on my Twitter profile? Ben's fans. Oh, they really don't like to read pronouns. They hate it. It brings them back to this time in school where they had to learn what pronouns were, and they simply can't handle it. Pronouns are their kryptonite. Partially because DC sucks, and I had to bring up kryptonite, bringing down the DC. And they use the point that the fact that you have pronouns in your profile as an insult. I was going to go and find a bunch of screenshots for this saying where they come up and they say something to the effect of, yep, pronouns, should have known, eye roll emoji, as if that's some sort of insult. They do their best though. Now, as far as the emojis go, look. We're not going to get into your flame war about whether those are praying hands or two people high-fiving. Because it's two people high-fiving. It's not a debate. High-fiving. But Ben also says that the reason that they hate you, I love this type of thing. Us, them, against each other. They are them. They hate you, victim complex. Our legion. I also love the phrase because we are legion, and it's so nice. But he goes on and he mentions that tennis great Martina Navratilova and author J.K. Rowling as two individuals who were, quote, banished to the cornfield. Side thing, not an insult, because I love cornfields, you jerk. For their refusal to acknowledge, this is what Ben says, that a man calling himself a woman is not in fact a woman. Ben refuses to use the word trans. It's actually kind of humorous how he refuses to use the word trans. Mind you, it's always trans woman. If you notice, Ben never says anything about trans men. Ever. None of them ever do. They never say anything about trans men. And I wonder why that might be. J.K. Rowling, though. Man. He says, one day you might find yourself a hero of the intelligentsia for your cynicism about religion. The next, you might find yourself a villain for the great sin of suggesting that cancel culture breeds radicalization. Examples of Sam Harris or Steven Pinker. Why is it named Praying Hands? Look, they're wrong. It's not my fault. Again, I'm not getting into your flame war. Ben, I don't dislike Sam Harris because of his views on cancel culture. I dislike him because he's xenophobic, Islamophobic, says there's no systemic racism in America and that black people are in the position they're in because of something he calls black culture. That's why I don't like Sam Harris. That's the reason why. Those are the reasons why? Whatever syntax it is, that's why. It's not because he suggested that cancel culture breeds radicalization. I know, by the way, Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris are friends. They're part of what they call the intellectual dark web. It sounds like this great, like this amazing cabal of awesome yada yada yada. Oh my God, it's not. Look, when you have this intellectual dark web and you're part of a group that includes people and you literally have them up there as like your A list and one of them is named Dave Rubin, I think you may want to check your list of people that you're intellectual. And the other kid, what's the name of his website? Turning Point USA. Is that what that is? Hi, Maya. Charlie Kirk, right? Intellectual dark web is where Jordan Peterson hangs out there. Sam Harris, Ben Shapiro. Those are like those are the intellectual dark webbers. I'll give them that. They are, all of them are intelligent, but Sam Harris and Ben Shapiro are friends because both of them, I don't know, are like bigoted. Sure, whichever. Now, you see, Ben, by the way, this whole thing goes two ways. Remember that the people who, my voice just went up in an octave when I said remember. Said, remember, though, the people who care about your pronouns aren't us. Mind you, we care if you have them so that we can do our best to ensure that we don't misgender you, but we're not the ones who care about whether you have pronouns in your bio. The people who have the most opinions about those who kneel are the same people who said they're canceling their season tickets and never buying Nike again while literally burning the shoes they'd already purchased from Nike. Way to go. That'll show them. They're the same people who lined up around the block for a freaking fast food chicken sandwich after discovering the founders of the company opposed marriage equality. Or how about at CPAC 2021 was called America Uncanceled. And then you canceled one of your speakers, rapper Young Pharaoh, because, he's anti-Semitic. Now, mind you, I should note that I agree with and applaud your decision to remove him from your program, but isn't that cancel culture? Isn't that part of where you went and you found some things that he had done, and at that point you decided, even though he hadn't necessarily said them recently, okay, he kind of has, but that he hadn't necessarily said them recently, that you canceled him. You canceled Young Pharaoh. Again, I agree with, by the way, the fact that he was removed from your list of speakers. Why was he ever there to begin with? Don't you always say that the music and the industry needs to stay out of politics? Oh, it's almost like you're doing something like, oh, I can't think of the phrase, something about a signal and being virtuous. I can't. It's escaping me. Do you ever sit back and just know, by the way, when somebody is lying? Not by watching a video which you provide in complete context and don't omit anything and show that they're lying by the words that they say, that they're being a lying liar. But I'm not just talking about Ben. I mean, I am right now, but not always. But there are just sometimes that And an example of this is when they provide two stories which have similar outcomes, providing a bunch of details for the first story, which includes names, dates, quotes, etc. And then there is the other that has vague details about when and where. No names, no details, but they just said something. And this is what Ben does. It's a Venn diagram. It doesn't work there, but I'm going to find a place later on that it works, and you're going to love it. He says, oh, oh, yeah. I got to go back to this thing about Josh Hawley real quick, because talking about this real fast. Ben mentioned how Missouri Senator Josh Hawley had, after supporting an insurrection, he had his book contract with Simon & Schuster canceled, which I spelled canceled on here. And that's cancel culture, right? Now, it's kind of strange, by the way, that Ben didn't mention that Hawley found a new publisher, Regnery. It's Regnery. Why do they make things so difficult to pronounce? Within 2 weeks of being quote unquote canceled. Super canceled. Super duper canceled. He says this, though. The consequences for those who do not toe the line of the leftist things are quite real. As a prominent conservative, I always warn those who aren't prepared for social, cultural, and familial blowback not to associate with me publicly. There are consequences for treating conservatives as human. That's why every birthday I'm amused but unsurprised to receive a bevy of kind wishes from liberals via text message, and none publicly in places like Twitter, where the mere recognition that a conservative was born of woman is enough to earn unending scorn. I love Ben and his writing so much. I really do. said, there are consequences for treating conservatives as human. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. If we even consider that maybe one or two conservatives might actually be good people, we get kicked out of the left mob or cult or whatever we're in. I don't have any conservative friends or anything like that. I now, mind you, the roommate is like a libertarian, and I fucking hate him for good, but it's not because he's a libertarian; it's because he's a shitty person, right? And I don't know that his libertarianism has anything to do with that. Let's call it his upbringing or childhood or the fact that his dad was there, but weird. I don't know. But like, that's not how that goes. But Ben, remember again, this is about us, he says. Because Ben is the same as the people who read his books, by the way. He's of the same caliber. He's of the same type of person that he is. Like that they are, my apologies. And the mere recognition that a conservative was born of woman. I don't even understand what that means. But treating conservatives as human. But here's an example of what I was talking about. He tells a story about his 2018 interaction with actor Mark Duplass. It's spelled D-U-P-L-A-S-S. Oh, there you go. That's the one right there where I mentioned that that it is simple refusal that demands compulsion, he says. So he's talking about how Sam Harris is not a Republican. So there you go. But he says the mentioned it. There it is. That Hollywood actor Mark, there it is. Sorry. In June 2018, wow, I messed that one up a little bit. Prominent Hollywood actor and producer Mark Duplass approached me about getting together. He was producing a film dealing with gun rights and wanted to speak with someone on the right to get a more accurate point of view. I thought this was shockingly decent of him, given Hollywood's permanent and thorough going determination to caricature conservative positions. I told him so and suggested he come by the office for a discussion. I love that Ben is surprised. Hey B, welcome in. I hope that you are enjoying your break. Talking about Ben Shapiro. Super sorry that your day had to start or end like this. it's sorry for the negatives. But apparently Ben Shapiro and the actor had a positive conversation, and Ben gave him a, quote, warning to not go public with their conversation because of the blowback he'd received from liberals, obviously. Except the thing is that that Duplass, again, I don't know how to say it, approached Shapiro about a film that he was producing. He was likely even getting some video footage of their conversation. There wasn't anything secret about the meeting. Also, Ben Shapiro's in more than one documentary type thing. I warned him not to go public, to talk that we've met. Man, so many people have talked to you. But regardless, the actor made a tweet. And he said, fellow liberals, this is again, July 2018. If you are at all or interested at all in, quote, crossing the aisle, you should consider following Ben Shapiro. I don't agree with him on much, but he's a genuine person who once helped me for no other reason than to be nice. He doesn't bend the truth. His intentions are good. Okay, first off, good job, Ben, for being a nice person and doing something for the actor fellow person. Thanks, B. I was going to say, if you wouldn't mind hitting that link/like button, that'd be awesome. Help the algorithm. But also, hey, feel free to share this out. So he wrote this tweet, and it did not go well for him. So much so that he deleted his tweet and followed it up with a message that said his goal, quote, has always been to spread unity, understanding, and kindness, and believes deeply in bipartisan understanding. I can respect that very, very much. He also said he had absolutely not done enough research into Shapiro and needed to do that before moving forward with anything. That is humility. I want to do these things, but I also made the mistake in not looking into this person. Now, Ben said, honestly, I feel rather sorry for him. Duplass has to work in this town, and Hollywood is a one-party ideological dictatorship. That said, I did warn him. And cowardice, he calls this, he says what Mark did as cowardice, is indeed a form of sin. So first off, yeah, I'm certain, Ben, that that James Woods it never gets a part in anything, and Bruce Willis certainly does not. Right? So Bruce Willis never gets any type of movies that I'm certain he never has anything coming his way in the form of scripts or anything. Or the guy that played Lieutenant Dan, who I think is a libertarian. I forget his name. Gary Sinise, right? I'm certain that they never get any type of recognition or anything. No, not at all. No recognition. I checked. I just looked over there and checked to make sure. There's no recognition for them. They have been banned from movies. Also, Ben, people wrote him and let him know about you because you wrote, and these, by the way, are your quotes, Israelis like to build. Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. You said that the only solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is ethnically cleansing the Palestinians. You said, quote, Trayvon Martin would have turned 21 today if he hadn't taken a man's head and beaten it on the pavement before being shot. You wrote a column warning against the evils of, quote, militant gay English courses at universities. You said President Obama is a philosophical fascist. You said transgender people suffer from mental illness. And you mocked Black Americans for being excited about the film Black Panther. Etc. and yada. Mark learned that as well. And rightfully said, my bad, yo. And I can appreciate that. And by the way, if you wonder if he has been canceled, the answer to that is no. No, he hasn't been. I looked today. I went to his Twitter. Pardon me. I went to his Twitter and I looked. And as it turns out, no, he has not been canceled. In fact, he has an enormous following. And I guess he's a pretty good guy or something. So, good job on the canceling, leftists. Get a drink here. I'm all out of vodka. So, I don't know how that happened. But then Ben offers another anecdote. He says, because Duplass, if anybody knows how to pronounce that, Duplass isn't alone. This sort of stuff happens all the time, emphasis his. Just about a year after that incident, I attended a rather Tony political summit, perhaps the only real ritzy cocktail party I've ever gone to. One of the other attendees happened to be one of the more prominent left-wing podcasters in the country. After a few pleasantries, I suggested that perhaps we ought to do an election year crossover podcast. the numbers I said would be extraordinary. And you can imagine how Ben says the word extraordinary. Go ahead, think of it. Think of it. Yeah, you thought of it. You know how he says it. Very good. And I know my audience would love it. We're always having on guests who disagree. I'm sure your audience would be cool with it, the podcaster answered, but mine would murder me. Okay, so I'm going to say real quick and first off, do you remember when Ben said that because you'd have the audacity, don't go public because you'd have the audacity of speaking with a conservative and saying that conservatives are not even, they're subhuman? It's interesting that Ben would dog whistle. But then he goes on, he actually tells this person apparently, and I know my audience would love it, we're always having on guests who disagree. Ben, it's like a paragraph later, bud. But do you remember what I said about lying with the stories and the anecdotes? Think of this one again. He mentions that he went to a cocktail party. Doesn't say what it is. Remember back when he was talking to the other person, there were dates on there and there where they had met, what it was about. Said that he met a rather famous left-wing podcaster. And then apparently said after a few pleasantries, which I'm certain were, hey, Ben, good job getting your audience and such. Look at me over here with my own audience. Ben, it's good to see you. Happy you're here at this rather Tony ritzy cocktail. Funny meeting you here, etc. However, I don't know. I'm not rich. I don't go to those things. I imagine that Bruce Wayne was there. That's all I can think of is that they go to a ritzy cocktail party. Bruce Wayne has to be there. But there's no detail. There's no dates, no times, no places. Yeah, cool story, bro. I'm certain that everybody applauded and everything too. And I don't know, his name was Albert Hitchens or something. And then on to examples of letters that he receives from his fans. Quotes, my boss is forcing me into diversity training, in which I'm told that all white Americans are inherently racist. Should I speak up about it? I'm afraid that I will be fired. My professor says that anyone who refuses to use preferred pronouns is a bigot. What should I write? What should I write on my final? I'm afraid he'll grade me down. My sister knows I voted for Republicans. Now she says she doesn't want to talk to me. What do I do? Okay, in diversity training, you can absolutely ask questions and push back on things, okay, as long as you're HR appropriate. And hopefully you get an understanding of things when they say inherently racist, they're not telling you that you're a white nationalist racist, okay? I don't need to get into that, but I know that people, by the way, say, I'm told that all white Americans are inherently racist. I realize that didn't come out of nowhere. It's almost like there are people who have pushed this dishonest tactic and a dishonest phrasing upon people just because it's not something that ever came up until, because diversity training, by the way, has been around for a long time. A long time. I looked, and as it turns out, it was created prior to the Black Lives Matter movement, and that was, 2014. I know that may come as a surprise to some of you who watch this channel. Thanks for watching, by the way. Like and subscribe, and you can go and if you'd like, you can donate to us at our brand new website, divinedisbelief.live, and also we're going to have the full website available this evening where you can go there and you can watch this live stream and watch it again and have it running in the background, so you get more viewers and things like that. And you can also go in there and donate directly to the National Network of Abortion Funds. And we also have a merch store where you go in there and you can get some of our merch, which again, you can give to your worst enemy, Ben. Not my worst enemy. Ben's not my worst enemy. You can ship it to Don Jr. at the, I don't know, place that he says isn't a house and is totally part of a charity, even though they go up there and stay there for a long time and they go and ride four-wheelers and stuff like that. You can send it to them, and any type of proceeds that we get, 100% of them go to the National Network of Abortion Funds. So you can go there. You can go there. And you can help this channel, and again, help people have access, everybody have access to safe and legal healthcare. My professor says that anyone who refuses to use preferred pronouns is a bigot. I don't know, man. Why are they so obsessed with pronouns? Why are conservatives so obsessed with pronouns? Like, is that really a thing that you care about that much? That's what you care about. I go out of my way at work and say that if there's a, and now mind you, I can't help every customer who's in this store, and because I work for I work for a certain company and I'm a guest inside this store, and I can't help my rival, competition, etc. and yada. And so, but I wear a headset. And if somebody needs help, I go about, I take this very seriously, where I don't say, and I've heard some people say some things on the radio that, and they say some, like, they'll say, somebody from India or something like that. And I'm just like, but what you hear a lot is there's a customer and she is over in this area, or he is over here, or the assumption, of course, that people are like in a partnership of some sort. But what I do is, because I don't know, I don't know, is I will say, there's a customer standing in front of like the mobile answer center, and I'll say, this is the shirt they're wearing, or this is the ball cap that they're wearing. Or I'll say, they're heading to a certain area. The reason for that is because I don't actually know what their pronouns are. I don't know them. And if nothing else, I'm respecting them. Or maybe they just have long hair, guys. And they are a he, him. And you make that mistake. And it is, if you can overcome that and you have a good relationship, sure. But maybe just that one. But also because it's respectful and you don't want to misgender somebody. Boy, they hate pronouns, though. Wow, they really hate pronouns. It's just like, my goodness, they'll vote on that. They'll vote via pronoun. Oh, this person has pronouns in their Twitter? Never. They'll never be elected. Like, all right, dude. My sister knows I voted for Republicans. Now she says she doesn't want to talk to me. This one is maybe a fair critique. I voted either all. I think I had all Democrats, at least in the general election, the statewide stuff. I don't know that I voted for maybe a couple of independents somewhere. Because they were the only ones that were on the ballot opposite like a Republican. And I'm not going to vote for a Republican. Even the guy that was in Ohio, who seemed to be more of a centrist, which is becoming rare these days, both on the left and the right, I wouldn't vote for him. Not because I disagree with him. I don't know that he had, I hadn't looked into him very much. He may not care at all about these cultural, woke stuff, but rather because I likely don't agree with him when it comes to things like privatizing healthcare or something of that nature. But also, I don't vote for some Republicans because they're named Marjorie Taylor Greene. Also, I don't live in Georgia. But if there are people who voted for Republicans, first off, your sister doesn't have to know. Also, if people vote for Democrats, you don't have to tell everybody. But the idea that we are so inherently opposite one another, I think, is a mistake. Not everybody who is a Democrat is automatically a far left socialist progressive, which is an interesting combination. And not everybody that is a conservative is a far right part of Cult 45. So I think dismissing a person entirely because they voted for Republicans is a bad idea. And I think dismissing somebody entirely because they voted for Democrats is a bad idea by itself. I think that part is probably true. Now, mind you, I think if there may be more to this story, it's like, oh, my sister, she just doesn't want to talk to me. Or maybe your sister has been harmed by Republican politics. Or maybe your sister lives in Texas and wants to have access to the healthcare that she has with the bodily autonomy that you should probably talk to her about and have her explain maybe her perspective on that. And maybe she's been harmed by Republicans. It is actual harm. But yeah, I kind of agree with the idea, and I get some blowback on this one. I kind of agree. I kind of agree that just again, completely eliminating conversation with somebody simply because they voted for Republican with no other reason is not a great thing. That's one reason that I put on a Twitter poll up last week and said, would you ever consider, and I pointed it to liberals. I probably should have pointed it to everybody, but I wanted to use this for a kind of like a case study. And I appreciate those of you that voted. Could you ever see yourself being friends with a conservative? You know, as a 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 7 type thing. Strongly opposed, kind of opposed, neither, whatever, and strongly agree. And strongly, they said I could never be friends with a conservative. How do you respond to that phrase? And I said, if you'd like to comment on, because like 1 to 2, 3 to 5, where are you at on that? On that spectrum. If I just got a text from a friend of mine. Hold on. Is there something that I don't know? I need to check on. I have to check on something because it could be really, really, really. Oh, I hope that this is true. 1 second. Oh. Yes. Oh God, yes. Oh. Oh. I didn't know about this. And I kind of hate all of you for not telling me until I just found out right now. Looks like looks like Beto O'Rourke is going to challenge Greg Abbott for the governorship of Texas. I have not seen great news a lot this year. But that one hits home pretty hard. And he could win, by the way. He's the most popular person in the state, far and away. I told Susan, and she agrees with and understands. I told her that I will never, ever, ever, neither of us will ever move back to Texas. But I will go back there temporarily to work for Beto O'Rourke again and to ensure that he's elected governor. I without hesitation. Not even considering whether maybe it's the right time, maybe it's not the right time to do that. And I also said I would never get involved again in that type of politics, simply because of how I harmed myself, like literally physically harmed myself. But to say that I learned from that, and that with my amazing partner's help to keep me on the right path, and to ensure my mental and physical health and safety, I would go back there until November 2022 to ensure that he is elected the governor. I don't care how many doors I have to knock on. I don't care how I have to get it out there. If the opportunity arises, I would absolutely do that. Because, like the comment that I just saw from Bagwin, which says, I want to get out of, which says, I want to get out of Texas so badly, but I am financially tied to family who is mostly on board with everything that is happening. It should be that nobody should have to go through that. Nobody should be scared, literally for their lives, to live in anywhere. And I think that the best person to meet that challenge at this moment head on is the person that I look up to so much, and am proud to have met, and to know, and who have worked for before. And I would do it again. Oh, wow. That's pretty amazing. I'm going to focus back. Sorry about that. I'm going to focus back on this. I get really, wow, I didn't think I'd get really emotional about that, but wow. Please. Moving into into the next part with Mr. Shapiro. He says, Beto. He says, the consequences of woke cultural authoritarianism are real, and they are devastating. They range from job loss to social ostracism. Americans live in fear of the moment when a personal enemy dredges up a bad old tweet to him, or members of the media, quote, resurface in an impolitic comment in a text message. And the eyes and ears are everywhere. One simple tip from someone on Facebook to a pseudo-journalist activist can result in a worldwide scandal. Your boss cares what you say. So do your friends. Cross the social justice warriors and you will be canceled. It's not a matter of if, only when. Again, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this again. Ben is a fantastic author. It's kind of like during back in Easter when I had the guy from Fox News, I forget his name, and he was just going off on people in the people in Canada that the pastor in Canada who refused to shut down his church and did like an anti-Jesus thing. And this guy totally talking about authoritarianism and all of this stuff, but he did such a good job that I was like, I love this. Obviously, it's problematic and very harmful, and people can, when I say harmful, I mean actually harmful. The United States yesterday surpassed the total deaths from the 1918 to 1919 pandemic and the Spanish flu, and we surpassed the number of deaths yesterday. And so that's how dangerous it is. And by the way, there are quite a few more people that live in the United States today than there were in 1918 and 1919, but we also have access to far more healthcare and vaccines and ways to ensure as much as we can the safety of ourselves and those around us. So I think that that's important to keep in context. But the guy from Fox News was just, he was so good at what he was saying and doing. And how he said it. Ben right here is phenomenal at this. The consequences of woke cultural authoritarianism. Notice the subtle shift from left-wing authoritarianism, which is a psychological concept, which they've studied, and then woke cultural authoritarianism. Ben makes a subtle shift in word usage to link left-wing authoritarianism, which, remember what I stated, this is the reason that the first couple of boring things that I did where I was mentioning and showing how the things that he was trying to say with these psychological studies were not exactly what he was saying, that left-wing authoritarianism has a definition and is rare, just like right-wing authoritarianism is, even though they agree, and everybody that has done these studies all the way from Adorno back in 1950 up to Altmaier in the 1980s, to Conway in 2018 and 2020, and then to, I forget the kid's name out at Emory University. They all say that that left-wing authoritarianism exists recently. So Adorno and Altmaier made some comments about that, but about its being so rare, but that it exists, but not nearly as prevalent as right-wing authoritarianism, and that they are certainly different. But it has a phrase, but Ben right here links the two together. Says that left-wing authoritarianism is woke cultural authoritarianism. Woke culture and woke cultural authoritarianism. Says that cancel culture is the same as far left, left-wing authoritarianism, and a very destructive ideology. He puts the two together. The range from job loss to social ostracism. Says that they drudge up old tweets. Now, there are some times, by the way, where I do think that maybe a couple of things should be considered in both the context and how a person may have said something in the past, but has, advocated and may have forgotten about it as well, and since then has been an advocate. I think that there might be something to consider there. But also these ideas of cancel culture, if you remember a few years back, I don't remember who was going to host. I remember his name, who was going to host the Oscars, but a few years back had said some mildly offensive, it made some offensive comments. And they brought that up, and they showed what this person had said. And I'm trying to remember his name, I'm sorry. I'll provide the aftermath of this so that it will make sense, that to be able to place the connection. And he was removed as the host of the Oscars. And so called out that he had been, quote unquote, canceled by the woke cultural authoritarians. So canceled that he had a sequel to his Jumanji, the movie he was in, the Jumanji film with Dwayne Johnson, that he had a sequel. So canceled. Kevin Hart, thank you. Thank you so much for that. That he was canceled. So canceled that he continues to be in movies. That he continues to get to have speaking. Obviously right now there's no comedy or very little comedy that's out there, but has opportunities that are presented to him to speak to a large audience and to make people laugh. So canceled. Or let's consider somebody that was a bit of a surprise, I think, even to me, but I hadn't looked into it yet. How about Louis C.K.? Louis C.K., the comedian. He was, quote unquote, canceled after multiple allegations, credible allegations of sexual harassment against him. He was, quote unquote, canceled. Hit the microphone. So canceled that within a year he had sold out shows again. The same thing with Bill Maher. And there are many that I can't think of right now, but there are many examples of what they call so cancel cultured that they choose to not, or to turn a blind eye again to the Josh Hawley thing, where Simon and Schuster, after he supported an insurrection and even after the insurrection voted to challenge the United States general election, which was shown by the former president's Department of Justice to be the safest and most secure election in the history of the United States. Side note, can you consider how I'm getting so many messages. I need to turn off the phone thing so I don't get them anymore. Nope, don't know where it went. Oh well, no big deal. That the elections were maybe not as secure. A person could go outside in the middle of the street after having as many drinks as they wanted to and say, I vote for this person, and automatically they have a vote. I'm just gonna say, maybe maybe the bar is kind of low for the first couple hundred years of how safe and secure elections are. Regardless of that, the most safe and secure. But he after 2 weeks, Senator Hawley from Missouri, after being canceled by Simon & Schuster, got another publisher. J.K. Rowling was so canceled that she has, in the past year, a little over a year, sold more books than ever. Which is interesting, by the way, because of the amount of people back in the year 2000 and 2001 who staged protests and boycotted Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone because it was demonic. The same people that did that. That's to me a fairly interesting set of values that you have there. People who trying to, I have link to Windows turned off and everything. That's dumb. Put it on Do Not Disturb. Who have the family values thing and boycotted Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone are now going out and buying all of her books. Also, Gina Carano, or I think it's Carano, right? So canceled. She's so canceled. She's getting her own television show. Now, Ben does say there is a way to, quote, survive this, though. The only safety from the mob is to become part of the mob. Silence used to be possibility. Now silence is taken as resistance. Everyone must stand and applaud for Stalin. And he who sits down first is sent to the gulag. Hey, Google, what's a gulag?
According to Wikipedia, the Gulag was the government agency in charge of the Soviet network of forced labor camps set up by order of Vladimir Lenin, reaching its peak during Joseph Stalin's rule from the 1930s to the early 1950s.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
The gulag, you say? Huh. Interesting. He says, perhaps, pardon me again, the most galling aspect of our culturally authoritarian moment, notice again the shift in word usage, is the blithe assurance whereby Americans are informed that they are exaggerating. There's no such thing as cancel culture, our woke rulers assure us, while busily hunting down our most embarrassing political faux pas. Faux pas at this point. There's nothing wrong, they say, with calling your boss to try to get you fired. After all, that's the free market just working. Why are you whining about social media censorship or about social ostracism? People have a right to tear you to shreds, to end your career, to malign your character. It's all free speech. Now, Ben does say that people have the right to do all of that because of the First Amendment, but then he says it simply amounts to the end of the Republic. The Republic. Strike me down with all your hatred, Ben. But calling people out because they're racist as fuck and do a racism and are caught on video doing said racism is not cancel culture. Barbecue Becky and her friends didn't have to do what they did and then double down on it. They didn't have to be racist. J.K. Rowling didn't have to be transphobic. And racists getting fired from their jobs or stepping down from as the CEO of video game creation, video game creation of the person that made the video. I forget his name. But because they say that, yeah, women don't have a bodily autonomy, or in this case, in another case, because they told people who are citizens of the United States to, quote, go back to Mexico. Their consequences are not the fault of those who informed their boss. It's the fault of the person who, and I have to remind you, did the racism. That's the reason that they're fired. You blame the victims here, Ben. And that's an interesting thing because you've been a victim of anti-Semitism. You have. And that's awful. And the people that do that, that are anti-Semitic and say these things to you and harass you, they should be called out as well. And you can't be blamed for that. But sure, Ben, end of the republic and all of that, because people get mad at you when you say bigoted shit about Palestinians. But there is no respite, he says. Your employer requires your fealty to woke principles. Corporations require that you mirror their political priorities. The media treat you as a crude barbarian. There are no distractions. Hollywood mocks your morals and damns you for your adherence to them. The sports world requires that you mimic the popular perversities of the moment before being allowed to escape. Social media controls the flow of information you can see while preventing you from speaking your mind. And each day you wonder if I need to make this stop, and I'm so sorry. I am really annoyed. And then it went away even when I tried to say silence those. My apologies. But it said, social media controls the flow of information you can see while preventing you from speaking your mind. And each day you wonder if today will be the day the mob comes for you. I'm going to go ahead and finish exactly what he says here because it is the end of the introduction and I have comments about it. It says, of course I have comments about it. This book is about how our authoritarian moment came to be. It is about the takeover of our most powerful institutions by a core of radicals and about the miasmatic hatred and dire consequences Americans face for standing up for heretofore uncontroversial principles. But it is also about something more. It's about how to fight back in the right way, because buried in authoritarianism is always one deep flaw. It's insecurity. If authoritarians had broad and deep support, they wouldn't require compulsion. The dirty secret of our woke authoritarians is that they are the minority. You are the majority. It's not that everybody hates you. It's that millions of Americans are afraid to say they agree with you. We have been silenced. Let me see if I can actually do this. Oop, there. We have been silenced. And now is the time for the silence to be broken by one simple, powerful word, a word that has meant freedom since the beginning. No. Okay, that's the end of the introduction. But I'm going to provide some thoughts here. First off, I haven't read far enough to say that I know where he says that the authoritarianism came from. The core of radicals are what? The Tea Party? Because I'm wondering about that. Are they the people who are pushing voting rights restrictions in places where there is no evidence of voter fraud? Texas and 24 other states. Is it about the amount of people who want to take away a woman's bodily autonomy and right to choose? Is it that core of radicals? Because is it the core of radicals, by the way, that want to provide health care to all people who live within our borders? Is it the people who want to ensure that every person in this country feels safe, or that there are no more food deserts, or that every person has access to the internet, clean water, better infrastructure, which is safe, that everyone has somewhere to live, that we continue to have free and fair elections, but actually make it easier to vote for every single person? Is that the radicals that Ben is talking about? Or is Ben just so fragile that he cares more about cancel culture than any of that stuff. That the authoritarians are actually the ones who approve of cancel culture. Again, which has no real definition. Or that are against critical race theory. I'm going to talk about that this evening, actually, a little bit. Or are they by the way, it's the 21st of September, so that's this evening for us. If you're in the future, I hope it gets better. Without actually providing any context. Is that what it is? Notice his examples that were provided. They want to tell me at my diversity training that all white people are inherently racist. It seems like something that is not authoritarian. Or my sister won't talk to me because I voted all Republican. That seems to be not really very important. I mean, you should probably, as I mentioned, provide context for that. Like did she vote for 45 and say that he never did like impeachable stuff, and that 600 and some odd thousand people are dead because he made a pandemic political? Like there's I think there are some valid reasons to cut people off like that. I certainly don't talk to my brothers. But Ben isn't really focused on any of that, is he? He's not focused on or he's focused on those subjects, on like Dr. Seuss or something like that. I don't know that he actually is focused on what the estate did with those books, certain books. But it seems that he is in this book as of yet not at all concerned about the actual push for positive change that helps everybody in the halls of Congress. He's more focused on bullshit arguments about whether pronouns are a good thing. Which, I don't know, Ben just seems kind of unimportant and childish. Do pronouns offend you so much that you need like to be sat down and said, it's going to be okay, buddy. I know they have pronouns. I know. Whew, I know what they do. I know what pronouns in their bio do to you, Ben, and to the rest of us too. I know the Republic is going to fucking crumble because I know, breathe, buddy. It's going to be okay. All right. Whew, it's going to be okay. Man, close one there, buddy. Oh, we almost lost you. Had a defense. Bring Ben back. Don't tell him about. Maybe we'll make him forget about pronouns. Hatred and consequences Americans face for standing up for those uncontroversial principles. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just say, Ben, that saying that trans people don't exist is not exactly uncontroversial. In fact, I would say that it is the opposite. Oh, I think that I said that right. What is not controversial is that trans people exist. Anyways, what's uncontroversial, those are not uncontroversial principles, okay? At least you got a principle in there, though. He says it's how to fight back in the right way. And he says insecurity. And by the way, as Bragwin said in the chat, wouldn't Ben be all for people getting fired if they were, quote, leftists? I seem to recall him being all for that. That I'm unsure of. But also, the right was the first to cancel Satanic Panic, or if we will, what's the name of the movie from the 1920s that Reefer Madness? That propaganda is one of the most effective pieces of propaganda in the history of the world. We still have, in more than a few states, laws that are enforced that say marijuana cannot be smoked. It can't be, you can't have any, nothing recreational, because that movie in like the 1920s. I don't think progressives actually did that one. But your insecurity, Ben, buddy, you and those that follow you are so insecure that when you see pronouns in a bio, you fall apart. You're so insecure that when people kneel before a football game, that you somehow can't take it. Oh man, forget the fact that the football players are my favorite team, and they're doing that because of the systemic inequality against black people in this country, and how the police brutalize black people at a far higher rate than anybody else, and that they're incarcerated at a far higher rate than white people, and that they are forced to have to stay in privately owned a lot of the time prisons far more than white people are, and they are denied parole at a far higher rate than white people are, and that the police, I don't know, murder black people far more than anybody else, far more often than anybody else, that you just can't stand it when you see them kneel. That you and the insecurity, the insecurity that you have and your followers have to say you're going to cancel your season football tickets for all time, or the insecurity that you have for something like the climate change arena up in Seattle, which is where the Seattle Kraken begin, the NHL team, the Seattle Kraken, begin playing this year. Susan's a fan of that team, by the way. That when they said that you'll have to either provide the evidence that you've been vaccinated or a negative COVID test within the past 72 hours, you're so insecure and fragile that you will no longer support the team. You're so insecure and fragile that when you see two people in a restaurant that are in a same-sex relationship, it makes you want to leave the room because you can't help it. You can't stand it that there are people who do not say the same things that you do and don't believe the same things that you do. In this case, of course, you can't stand it. You can't stand it to look over and see two people who are in love with one another or who are fighting, honestly, whichever. Pick one. They either have heart eyes or they're fighting. Whichever one, you can't stand it. So much so that it makes you nauseous. Example after example after example. But sure, the cultural authoritarians, which again, good job on making that subtle shift from left-wing authoritarianism over and connecting it to woke cultural authoritarianism. I do. That's very good writing. I noticed it, though, Ben. He can't stand seeing people happy who don't believe what he does. Anything that causes him to doubt himself must be purged. Yeah. And welcome in Lone Wanderer's Bunker as well as we kind of wind this down. Again, it's about a 90-minute video. And of course, you can always stream this or listen to this video without watching it. There's a couple of graphics that are on the screen, but yeah. The insecurity, I don't think necessary. Now there are times where people they would say things about the former president that I felt maybe weren't necessary. But I don't remember anybody driving in a parade with a noose on their truck while he was president. I do remember seeing a noose and a gallows erected outside of the United States Capitol in January. Insecure. Sure. The dirty secret of woke authoritarians is that they are the minority and you are the majority. Randolph, you're really good at joining as we're winding down. Now, there is no true definition that he has given. Remember, again, he woke cultural authoritarians. He has combined with the idea of left-wing authoritarians. But there is no definition that he could give. Now, is it? I will go ahead and say that he's not wrong. That the number of left-wing authoritarians that exist is not the majority. That's true. But Ben puts that together with those who have pronouns and those who, for some reason, get mad at people. No, hey, no worries, Randolph. You can always stream it, and again, you can stream it without video if you'd like to later on. Stream it. Is it streaming it even? You can listen to it. Anyways. But those who get mad, like they don't see pronouns in somebody, they see pronouns in somebody's, and I keep bringing that up only because Ben mentioned it like 3 or 4 different times in this introduction. So it's not that everybody hates you, it's that millions of Americans are afraid to say they agree with you. Pretty certain that like 68 million Americans voted for the previous president. I don't think that they are afraid to say they agree with you. They're afraid, and this is what we showed last week in a couple of the, and again, I know it wasn't the most invigorating beginning to the video that we did, but they're afraid to say, and these are the far right, 75% of people on the far right are afraid to say what they believe. And the reason for that is because they know that if they say the things that they believe, they're going to be canceled. Whereas people on the far left, 75, 80% say, definitely not afraid to say it. I saw that. I saw that, Randolph. That makes me very happy. Also very, 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 very excited. Got a little emotional when I found out about it earlier that Beto O'Rourke is going to be running for governor against Greg Abbott in the state of Texas. Oh, what a day. Ben writes the most amazing sentence the most ironic sentence. We have been silenced. He said, no, hey, it's okay. We have been silenced, he says, in a book that is available at your local retailer, at Target, at Barnes and Noble. That actually, give me 1 second here. I'm gonna go ahead and check this to make sure. To make sure. And again, yeah, Pale Little Mama, you can always, man, it's great to see you. It really, it sounded like I said man, but Mando, it's great to see you. It really, really is. I really hope that things are going well for you. Please do certainly keep Susan and I updated with, the things, because we haven't been so much over the course of the past few months. I know you had a lot going on, but please absolutely keep us updated. We care very much. But I'm, and you can always listen to it on the playback. So I'm going to look something up here real quick. Let me just do this. Let me just, or let me, actually, I'm going to do it on my phone here. This way you can actually see it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to use my password. There we go. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to jump on my phone. And this is actually, this is, let's see here. What is it? What is it called? What's it called? Okay. So the AUTH. Oh, when you type the AUTH onto I thought that it sounded like I called you man instead of Amanda. When you type the AUTH in Amazon, the third, well, actually what's funny is the second, really, because the first recommendation is the authority of the court. And then the second one is also the authority of the court. It just says in books. The second one is actually the first. It's the same one. This makes this the second one. The second suggestion is the Authoritarian Moment. Let me go ahead and just tap on this real quick here. The Authoritarian Moment is something called a bestseller. It's weird. I've never heard of that phrase before. Let me just, and the next book on here is The Facts Don't Care About Your Feelings. And then the third one is the hardcover version of The Authoritarian Moment, which costs $38.97. Hey, Randolph, I love to hear that. But let me just see here. It is the #1 bestseller in the category human rights law. So Ben has been silenced by having the #1 book in human rights law. Very silenced there, Mr. Shapiro. Let me see. In any department, let me just go ahead and look this up real quick here. Oh, gonna lose the video again. Oh, right there. Yeah, it is right at an hour and a half. So now the end of the video. That's okay. We're at the end of it anyways. But Ben has been so silenced, a lot like Marjorie Taylor Greene, the representative from Georgia, was so silenced that she tweeted with 400 and oh yeah, Amanda, let me know about that. Beto O'Rourke is going to be running for governor in Texas, and oh my God, I'm so freaking excited. I will literally go back there and work for him again. Sorry again. But Marjorie Taylor Greene was so silenced and censored that she got to go on multiple news stations, and also that she was able to still tweet. That she was being so censored during censoring time, I guess, right? And all of that. And it is interesting that says that you're that they get upset because you want to allow businesses to do what they would like. That's something that you can't do without upsetting the woke cultural authoritarians, right? But then they get mad and say, "You're censoring me, Twitter. You're censoring everybody, Twitter, because they disagree with your woke terms of service." Well, Ben, buddy, they're just a private company doing a capitalism. I thought you'd like that. So silenced. So silenced. And Ben says, and now is the time for the silence to be broken by one simple, powerful word, a word that has meant freedom since the beginning of time. No. I'm going to point out something here real quick. The word freedom wasn't invented at the beginning of time. But the only thing that conservatives, a certain number of conservatives, have been saying over the course of the past almost 10 months is, no, the current president didn't win the election. I hear that a lot, Ben. I hear it a ton, actually. That no, I will not accept the results of this secure, the most secure election in the history of the country. No, I will not accept this. I hear that a lot. But silenced, you say. So silenced that the Million MAGA March, which their numbers, not ours, not mine, was on every news station. So silenced. So silenced that the tiny little, I don't know, justice for insurrectionist people who are either dead or in jail had like 150, which had about 150 people show up, was on, again, every news station. That's partially because people were wondering if they were going to try to do an insurrection again. But, so silenced. And so no, if you will. That it sounds like Ben Shapiro wants to be a victim, says Randolph in the chat. Maybe he should hire a dominatrix to help him understand what that could really feel like. I'm not going to comment on that. Because I won't kink shame. Who knows? Maybe Ben will see that as a good thing. I don't know. But that is the end of the introduction. Finally, the end. This video went a little bit longer because what we found out about Beto apparently running for governor in the state of Texas again. Yay. Yay. But the introduction is over with. That means next week we're going to get into the next part of the actual meat and potatoes of his book, which is chapter 1, How to Silence a Majority. Very excited about that. Very, very, very excited. Now, again, as we end up here, thanks so much for those that are here during the live stream, but also those of you who are watching in post and stuff like that. Certainly, if you want to, if nothing else, if you are watching this, if you're live and didn't get to see the beginning of this, please take the time. I had a lot of fun making the introduction here, but remember that you can support the work that we do. Yeah, it's the end of the introduction. And again, it's so long because it's not just what he's written, but the amount of stuff that you have to respond to. And I don't want to take things out of context. Randolph will see. I value context. I value honesty. There are some people who say that I don't, which is really weird, but I value all of those things very, very much. And so it takes a little more time. I am going to do my best to make that not the case, even if I have to break it down into smaller little sections. But you can support the work that we do here, the work that we do, the stuff that we make. There we go. We have a website along with a little. If you'd like to go and donate some money to us, it's divinedisbelief.live/tip. Or of course, you can go to divinedisbelief.live. That one it's currently live, and you can see where we've got stuff on there for our channel. You can watch some previous stuff. You can see the Twitter threads and stuff like that. But this is a way to go in and say, hey, there is no, because this is something where Patreon is great, and we certainly go to divinedisbelief.com/Patreon, absolutely. But this is one of those cool things where the channel doesn't have any type of viewer membership or whatever type of requirements or anything like that. Also, we receive 100% of whatever you donate, and that is really great. If you'd like to do that, as you can see, this person here donated $100 a month. We appreciate that very much. And you can also we have merch that you can get. How do you like that? Look at that. You can get that Samsung Tough case, and then you can throw it at your friends who are all like, look, the iPhone 13 is so much better than the Samsung Galaxy everything, even though we still don't have 10 times optical zoom on our camera. Really weird. We thought that would be a good, hey, but we finally got 120 hertz refresh rate. Woo! And you just throw it at them. And if that's you, you can just throw it at the mirror. Don't hurt yourself. But as we mentioned with the merch there, we're not looking to make a profit off of that. We are 100% of the proceeds that we get from that are going directly to the National Network of Abortion Funds. And so every single thing, and we will keep folks updated as we do that. You can also go to divinedisbelief.live, and you can see there's a button there where you can donate, if you'd like to, directly to the National Network of Abortion Funds. And that is a really great, really, really, really great cause that we do recommend, especially with things that are going on in the state of Texas and over the country right now. And from their website, your donation brings us closer to a future where all people have access to abortion without shame or stigma. So, if nothing else, if you hate our merch, that's fine. Don't know why there's 2 pairs of socks there. You can pick them up. You can see that this stuff is not at all. It's not expensive stuff. We're not going to try to make a profit on it. Because the other things are more important. Now, if you want to give us money, sure, go to divinedisbelief.com/live/tips, or go over to divinedisbelief.com or patreon.com/divinedisbelief. You can also follow on social media Susan. She's at Motel Cowboy. I'm on there as well. PDX Secular Guy, the Corgis. Because honestly, you want to see the Corgis more than anything else. They have a Twitter. It is Dos Corgis15, DOS Corgis15. I believe I'm going to have some of like the links that I have to some of the things I spoke about today in the description below, so you can see some of those. You can go and see where Josh Hawley was so canceled that he got a new publisher within 2 weeks. So canceled and so silenced. This has been fun, and I'm looking forward to actually getting into some of the stuff that he talks about, because the first words of his of the chapter 1 are on November 8th, 2016. If you just shuddered and had, maybe for good reason, a negative and violent reaction to that, you'll want to be here for the rest of it. Lone Wanderer, no worries. One of the things that and I'm going to end on this. One of the things that we do, that we have, as people know, a boatload of little collectibles that we have. They're called Funko Pops. You may have never heard of them. They're a new thing. The brand, and nobody really has any. They're not, and we have been, call it the word blessed if you would like. That's perfectly fine. But we're in a position where we can afford to get some of them, and they're from some of our favorites, popular culture, if you will, Funko Pop, right? Star Wars, obviously, but also things like the Back to the Future or Jurassic Park and stuff like that. And we're in a position where we can afford them. But we also know there are a lot of people who can't, even though that they would like to, even to have one thing. You just want one of those, but they can't get them. We have a number of them that are available that we want, that we give to people because we think it's right to do. And we don't ask for payment, even to ship them or anything, just because we want people to have access to the same things that we do, even if it's in this little way, just this minor thing. To some people, it's more than minor, obviously. Having access to something, getting something that they really, really want. And obviously, we're activists in whole other ways as well. But being able to do that, nobody should ever feel like donating to us if it will ever make you have more hardship. In fact, please don't. And if you ever do need anything, you can reach out to us. Don't feel ashamed. We are here to help in every way that we possibly can. Buying our merch, obviously, we only created this because we want to find another way to help abortions and women's health care, and to protect to help abortions, to help them stay legal, and to ensure that women's bodily autonomy is kept secure. And that's why all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds from our merch store, go to the National Network of Abortion Funds. Susan and I decided that was the best one. The way we decided that was I went into the bedroom, she was asleep, and I said, "Hey, Susan, what's your favorite charity?" And she said, "Like, at all?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, what she said, NN, NNAF. So that's how we decided that. I was like, all right, cool. And so that's how much that she immediately cares for people and for women who face these hardships right now in some of those places. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in there. So if you ever do need anything, let us know, and don't ever feel like you should be pressured to give us anything. We're not going to shame you for that. So thanks, folks, for coming in. I thought today was Wednesday, and it's apparently Tuesday. Or if you're watching this in the future, again, I hope things are better, and it's apparently Wednesday or some other day. I don't know. Whatever day it is in Australia, which is impossible because that doesn't exist. That means that tomorrow evening, barring other unforeseen circumstances, we will be live, doing a live stream, Divine Disbelief. We didn't get to it last week. We didn't get to it last week because other things came up, but we are going to get to it this week. There's a lot of things, a lot of news. We're going to be really flying through that. I'm hoping that Susan is available to join me. I know she's been wanting to. I've been wanting to have her back on, and I'm hoping that's the case. So that will be Wednesday night, which is tomorrow for us right now, September 22nd. I think it's 6 Pacific. So whatever time that is for you. I don't do math. I have an American education. But thank you so much again and again and again. You matter very, very much to Susan and I, and you matter just because you do. Love you guys.